Royal Randwick, and that's one that everyone will be wanting to win not too far away. Of course, it is one of the most time-honoured events of the Australian racing calendar, a star-studded honour roll featuring some of the greats of the Australasian turf. Emily Bosson explains.
In the spring of 1861, not only was the first Melbourne Cup held, but north of the border the AJC Randwick Derby Stakes was also first run. Now known as the ATC Australian Derby, the 2,400-metre Group 1 for 3-year-olds has been won by champions of all eras, including Phar Lap, Tulloch and Kingston Town, who in 1980 provided TJ Smith with a record 9th derby.
Kingston Town racing away from Mr. Independent.
Fellow Cox Plate legends 𝘿𝙪𝙨𝙪𝙧𝙗𝙮, Bone Crusher and Octagonal also left their mark on the race. Kiwi Murray Baker has won the race 5 times, including with Star Colt, It's a Done Deal in 2013. And in 2020, when alongside Andrew Forsman, he trained Quick Thinker to victory.
Quick Thinker just in front from Zabrowski. Quick Thinker holds on.
M. Bosson there taking us through the history of this great race, and of course Baker and Forsman to the fore again today. So the Australian Derby not far away. And I'm going to go back to you, Dino, because the Tulloch Stakes has been such a reliable guide. For many years we didn't think it was the A-grade guide, but from 2017 to 2020 the double was done and we saw Character win on Monday.
Yeah, I just wonder, Bruce, if that's had a lot to do with these wet championship Saturdays that we've had, and they get the miles in the legs. We saw Character win, but you couldn't miss Regal Lyons' closing speed. He just kept making ground to the line. Benno was quite good too, but Regal Lyons the one that I really took from that race, and I think he'll be right in the finish today.
And what's even more exciting than maybe a Tulloch going into the Derby, Katie and Dean, would be if the Victoria Derby winner could win this race after winning the Australian Guineas first up. So if the Ma Eustace stable can do it with Hetotsu, here he is at Ballarat, closest to us, Dean, this would be quite remarkable.
Yeah, he's put himself in Mahogany's company, who won both Derbies and the Australian Guineas as well. Mahogany went one step further and won a Caulfield Guineas, but we don't see much of this horse, but when we do, it's quite spectacular, so maybe we'll get to see something very special again today. Whether he handles the ground, I just don't know, but yeah, he's a very good stayer, as we saw in the Victoria Derby.
And I think that's the key, Katie, in many ways, the ground, don't you?
Absolutely. 𝘿𝙪𝙨 also won that race on protest.
He did, and that was very, very controversial at the time. I can remember it well. Let's go and hear from Hetotsu's trainer, Ciaran Maher.
With trainer Ciaran Maher up the Hume, and here we are at Royal Randwick, and you've got the favourite in the Australian Derby in Hetotsu, and looking to make a little bit of history with him as well. Obviously won the race last year with Explosive Jack, but Hetotsu a different kind of horse.
Yeah, definitely. Explosive Jack was that dour type of horse. He never would have been able to win a Guineas like Hetotsu, but very happy with his prep. A little bit of an unknown on the track, but he's going to travel a long way. He's got a lot of ability, so he's going to travel, and as you know, it's only when you come off the bridle whether you actually handle the track or not. So pretty happy at the moment.
Looking to make a little bit of history though, the only horse to have done the Australian, Sydney and also Australian Guineas treble is Mahogany. So you're looking a long way back to try and repeat that kind of history. How do you feel about that with this kind of horse?
Well, I'm just hoping he's something like the next Mahogany.
He was pretty good.
Yeah, he was. Obviously it's a tough ask. But as I said, I'm very happy with him. He is a special horse to do what he's done. And I think he's a stronger, better horse than he was in the spring.
2 more runners in the race for you that came out of the Alistair Clark Stakes at Moonee Valley.
Can't Go Wong. Well named by the guys at Mahjong. He's prepped up really well. Both horses have prepped really well. 𝘿𝙪𝙨, he's been a little bit keen and just learning his craft as he goes, but he's drawn well and be able to put himself in the race from the start, which will be a big help. And Can't Go Wong, he was solid with the shades on last start, just gave him that little bit of focus. They're both each-way chances.
Looking very dapper in your black and white today, Ciaran, and hoping to add another derby to the tally.
And that Alistair Clark form's proven to be okay already, hasn't it? Let's go into the mounting yard for the Bentley Australian Derby, and Lizzie has a look at Hetotsu.
Well, this is my first look at 𝘼𝙪𝙨 from the 𝘼𝙪𝙨 and David Eustace stable. Of course, they won the race last year with Explosive Jack. Can they do it again? There's a lot of history with this guy. Obviously, he won the Guineas first up in Melbourne. He's now coming to the Derby here in Sydney, and he looks an out-and-out stayer on physicalities. Obviously, he's got a big question mark whether he's going to handle the wet conditions today, but on looks alone, he looks in great shape.
Katie, in the spring, 𝘼𝙪𝙨 ran third in the spring champion and then second in the Derby behind 𝘼𝙪𝙨.
He did. I don't think the staying will worry him at all. It's just the wet track that I've got a little concern about. But Hugh Bowman, he seems to think that he'll like it, and he'll save him for one last crack. So he'll ride him conservatively and try and get him to get through the track as best as he can on the bridle. Forgot You. I really like Richo. Mark Zahra taking the ride for Trent Busuttin and Natalie Young.
And that VRC Derby form again holding up there. So this guy ran fifth in the VRC Derby that you referred to with 𝘼𝙪𝙨 and also 𝘼𝙪𝙨. He's had 3 runs this preparation, ticking over nicely, well beaten by Animo in the Rosehill Guineas. It looks the right form reference. Handles cut in the track. Mark Zahra won the race with Lavendi in 2019. Interesting, they've taken the blinkers off to let him settle. And we get to horse number 4. What a story to be. Can Gai finally win her first Derby?
Exactly, that would be a fairy tale story. It's one of the majors that she hasn't won up here. He won his first 3 runs this preparation in really nice fashion, and then last start in the Alistair Clark, he just got over keen in the run. They've taken the blinkers off. He looks as though he's getting a touch warm just around that flank area, but that's exactly how he paraded on Alistair Clark night, and I think he's in terrific order. He's going to give certainly his backers every opportunity.
Horse number 6 is White Noise. We looked at Regal Lion before as well, who was the eye catcher in the Tulloch. Well, this is a stablemate, White Noise, who was certainly well beaten by Regal Lion, both in the New Zealand Derby and also the Tulloch. So I'd be concentrating more on Regal Lion with James McDonald in the saddle. This is the best rough in the race for mine because he's a wet tracker who ran really well on the Alistair Clark. And
that form franked a bit, Richo. He was 4th in the Randwick Guineas as well, and we know how good that form was, Converge and Animo. So I'm with you. I think he's in the mix for sure. Lizzie, how is character backed up from Monday?
Well, he looks as though he's got a bit of spring in his step. He certainly doesn't look as though he's had any tired days. He's very well. The Tulloch has been a really good lead into the Derby, and I couldn't be faulting him at all. Looking at horse number 9, Can't Go Wrong for Jamie Carr, comes out of the Alistair Clark where he ran second. Look, again, he's an out-and-out sayer, as we heard earlier from 𝘼𝙪𝙨. He's probably an each-way quote, but overall he looks in perfect order and parades well.
The Baker's got half a dozen today, Katie. Bjorn's got 4 of them. What about Morris's Madad?
Well, he ran well against the older horses. That was on a good 3 in the Albury Cup last start over the 2,000 metres. His wet track form isn't great, so I'm thinking that maybe he might be better on top of the ground, but a horse that's got a little bit of ability.
In the spring, Raging Bull was 100-1 in the Derby, but he ran 4th behind 𝘼𝙪𝙨.
He did. He might be a little bit of a smoky in this race, I think. He's ran well on a heavy track, yet to win on it. But David Payne, a great trainer of 3-year-old stayers. Craig Williams taking the ride. He's drawn the right part of the track. He's third up, and as you said, he's shown a little bit of ability, hasn't he?
He has. Richo, what about 𝘼𝙪𝙗's third one, 𝘼𝙪𝙨?
Yeah, we just heard from Kieran before. He is a beautiful colt. He's a colt by the incredible stallion from Japan in Deep Impact. Cost $1.1 million of the Easter yearling sales. The only question is whether he can handle a wet track. He's way over the odds for mine. What a story to be if Chad Schofield, now back in Australia, was able to win a Derby on day 1 of the championship. So there's 𝘼𝙪𝙨. And then we get to Zumon, the second of the Waterhouse Bot stable. He will just stay all day. He's a dead set stayer, even though he's by a stallion who was an outstanding sprinter in Zoostar. Zumon can run a stylish race. There's a couple that are maybe a bit classier than him. Here's 14 Clyde.
Gary Portelli's already had a great day. So the father of Clyde is Morris, and if I was Morris, I'd call my son Clyde.
Bruce, you were too funny. This horse is deep into his preparation. He ran coming out of the Tulloch on Monday where he ran 6. He wasn't beaten all that far. Gary, as you said, he's just placing his horses beautifully.
And if my mother was Baggy Green, I'd call the horse Benno, wouldn't you, Lizzie?
Absolutely, Bruce. It's a perfect name for him, isn't it? And he's lovely and grey and beautiful looking, so it really fits his type. I thought his run last start in the Tulloch was excellent. He hit the line strongly. He had a few just were a little bit sharper in front of him, but he's going to be spotting these a start from that gate, but he's going to appreciate the trip.
Footlights is a wet tracker, I reckon. Katie, is he good enough here?
Well, I've got him on top. Honestly, I think this race is just... I just think that he's a wet tracker. He was a late nom into this race, and I really liked Busset and Young's horses, really nice and fit. Coming out of a Ballarat race, benchmark 64 against the older horses, but that was on a heavy track. So I'm thinking he'll stay. He gets through the conditions. Here's Sea Treasures, another runner from Bjorn Baker, Rachel King taking this ride. A winner in the heavy track as well, and a winner over the 2300 last start at Newcastle will hold him in good stead.
Richo, don't tell me you're picking Akahata.
No, I certainly am not, because this would be some effort. Winning at Mudgee 3 starts ago, and last start running 6th at Wellington. Gee, this would be a story, wouldn't it? Bjorn Baker's a good trainer, but stop it, Bjorn.
Let's go to Ben Way. Ben, well done in the last, the Cunning Fox. Gee, this favourite's been well backed.
I was about to say that last runner there, you could essentially write your own ticket with us, $250, $300, have what you want. Hitotsu has been so well backed. I'm surprised actually by the weight of money. We're talking about 35% of the hold in an Australian derby, $3.10. Now it's hovered around that price all day. I wouldn't worry about the 30-cent drift one iota. Regal Line at $5 has had support during the week, but that's quietened up a bit today. Character at $11. Benno's had good support, 15 into 12. Forgot You, $13. Allegron currently $14. War Eternal there returning after a run at the Valley at $14, and Castlereagh Kid at $16. As for those at longer odds, well, there was a little bit of interest in Footlights early. That's dried up, and that's about it.
Thanks for that. Katie, normally I'd worry about the barrier for out wide, but it's a wet day today. But this is quite close to the turn, this barrier, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think that they'll roll along in there, especially with Gay Waterhouse's pair. Castlereagh Kid, he's got the blinkers off, but he's still a horse that likes to go forward. Zoom On will definitely roll forward. I think Allegron and Hitotsu, they will hold a spot from their good barriers. And then horses like White Noise, Maurice's Nidad and Raging Bull sort of have to make a decision from out there before they reach that first corner. Because you don't really want to be stranded wide.
Richo, we had Graham Kennedy and Bert Newton, and we've got Murray Baker and Andrew Forsman, haven't we?
And Andrew's already captured 2 derbies in his own name alongside Murray with John Snow and also Quick Thunker. You saddle up 2 really interesting runners here, mate. The obvious one, not White Noise, but Regal Line. Is that the way you see it?
I suppose so. On their run on Monday, that's I guess how you have to split them. They're both very well and they've settled up good.
Okay, and have come through that run well?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, to be fair to them, their constitution's great. They've had a lot of racing. They just go from strength to strength, really.
Okay, was it an ideal scenario for you to be able to do it on a Monday, or you'd obviously prefer those extra couple of days?
Yeah, it would have been nice to have it on the Saturday, but I think, having said that, it was a pretty messy track too on the Saturday, so a couple of extra days, a trip to Newcastle won't do them any harm.
Okay, the boss is sitting and watching, really looking forward to setting him off in style. No doubt New Zealand Racing's got many plans to do it. What an ornament to the game Murray Baker's been.
Yeah, amazing. Just a legend, and it'll be a massive thrill to do it the right way today and get the job done. So hopefully they'll run well.
And you take over next month?
Yeah, next month.
Mate, good luck with that venture and good luck today.
Thank you. Cheers.
Speaking of New Zealand Racing, Mark Walker took over from Jamie Richards today and got the Group 1 in the sires there. So a changing face in New Zealand. Lizzie, I want you to say Hitotsu. I've never said that to you, but I'm so wrapped in him, these looks. But you're the expert.
Well, actually, you could be the expert because I'm with Hitotsu. I thought that he looked fantastic, so I'm going his way. I haven't seen him before, so this was my first look at him, and just the confidence from the stable, the fact that he's been able to defy history, and I am partial to a Morris, so I'm really hoping that he can get the job done here today because he looks in an amazing order.
Thanks, Lizzie. Terrific. Dean, we go to you. Dean, there's a lot of confidence in the betting ring about the Victoria Derby winner, isn't there?
Yeah, they must be confident he's going to handle the ground, Bruce. I don't doubt his class, his ability to stay. He's just got to handle the ground. I love the Regal Lions trial on Monday, as I mentioned in the Tulloch Stakes, so I'm with him. Bruce, for Oman punters, they'll be with Benno. Today's date, 2 for 22.
Oh, Dino. absolutely love it. I reckon he'll shorten about a point or two in a hurry, and he was a very good run, wasn't he, Richo? I mean, he was an eye-catcher as well behind Regal Line and Character at Newcastle.
Yeah, there's no doubting that. What a great race it is. This influence of the New Zealand trainers, just chatting to the next generation there with Andrew Forsman, that takes over from Murray Baker next month. We've spoken about Mark Walker back from Singapore. Jamie Richards makes his way to Hong Kong. And Bjorn Baker, who has already made his mark here in Australia with 4 runners in the Derby, and I'm going with the one that I think is the best wet tracker. His name is War Eternal, coming through a terrific run in the Alistair Clark. It is a great race. Could we see history? Could Gai Waterhouse finally win the race that she's dreamt of?
That would be something, Richard, that's for sure. Let's go back to Ben. A bit of history would surround the favourite as well. So the Bentley Australian Derby, the Tabs hot horse, Ben?
Is number 1, Hitotsu. And, of course, that means one. I know you're fluent in Japanese. I only learnt that today. But number 1 in the race book and number 1 for the hot horse.
What does it mean? I missed that.
Apparently Hitotsu means number 1 in Japanese.
Oh, okay. Love it, Ben.
There you
Love
go.
it. Caitlin, how confident are you about the Derby? Oh, I know what so you're thinking Footlights?
I'm going with Footlights because he's a Savabeel out of a Pins mare, and they absolutely swim. And he's had one go on a heavy track. That was last start for a very dominant win, and was a late call-up for this race. So a late acceptor, and I found this race impossible. I think every single one has a chance in the race. Who are you with, Bruce?
I'm with Regal Line. I just love that run, but I want Hitotsu to win because I love the history around him and I love the horse.
It'll be some training effort.
It will. Lizzie, your last thought?
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be a terrific race. I just want to see the history being done for the first time with Hitotsu, but I actually don't mind War Eternal as well. I think he ran really well last time.
Here's Darren Flindell for the Bentley Australian Derby.
The Bentley Australian Derby is ready to run. Gates are back, they're off. And Zoomon left particularly well together with Allegron, Whiteout Castlereagh Kid. Morris will be Dad Handy together with War Eternal. Clyde's going to park just behind them and Character's going forward. So after the first 200 metres, it's Castlereagh Kid showing good muster to clear those on the inside. He's looking for the lead now from Character is right there and lands a terrific spot turning out of the straight to Character on the outside of Zoomon. And Morris's be Dad continues to push forward in advance of War Eternal. They're followed then by Footlights, who's pretty handy down on the inside running rail. A length further back to Clyde on the outside of Azami. Allegron in the second half of the field now. Forgot You with the black caps out deep. Can't Go Wong railing through. A length clear to the favourite Hitotsu in advance of Regal Line. So the two favourites in the second half of the field. Then came Raging Bull from Benno. Further back to Sea Treasures Akahata. And White Noise at the last one, about 16 lengths off the lead. 1,500 metres to run. And Castlereagh Kid looking to make all. A length in front to Morris would be Dad. Zoomon holds leaders back third. A length further back to Character. Pretty much the spot he was on Monday when winning the Tulloch Stakes, just in advance of Footlights. 2 lengths then to War Eternal, followed by Azami. Then came Clyde from Can't Go One. Allegron, Forgot Youth, cast 3 to eat the trip. Further back to Regal Line on the inside of the favourite Hitotsu. 2 lengths then to the great Benno and the red cap, who's over on the inside of Raging Bull. Then came Akahata from Sea Treasures. And White Noises last as the Derby field start the run down the side. They've got 1,000 metres to run. And Nash sitting pretty here on Castlereagh Kid. A half length to Morris's me Dad. Zoom on third from Character, given every chance. Then Footlights reback the fence on the inside of War Eternal. Now Clyde is pulling out deep together with Hitotsu, trying to improve their positions. Further back to Azami. Then came Can't Go Wong. Regal Line is strung up in the middle of the ruck together with Raging Bull as they approach the home turn now. Benno's pulling to the outside. The grey trying to get into it. Further back to White Noise from Akahata dropping out, and Sea Treasures as they bunch on the turn. Castlereagh Kid from Morris and Midad. Characters pulling out. Footlights getting a rouse run from Zoomon. Then came War Eternal. Down the outside, Hitotsu and Benno both putting in big runs. They're wide out, and Benno moved up on the outside of Hitotsu. Through the centre is Allegron. It's Allegron coming out on Benno. Between them, Hitotsu trying to left. Hitotsu is lifting from Benno the outside. The great Benno goes to Hitotsu. Hitotsu clings on, and Hitotsu wins the Derby. The first since Mahogany to do the double. Hitotsu just from Benno and Allegron, and they get the rest. Big margin back to Zoomon. Then Sea Treasures, Morris's Midad, Raging Bull, Castlereagh Kid, Regal Colonel Clyde, a big gap back to footlights from Forgot You. Azami Can't Go Wong. Character dropped out from White Noise, and Akahata was last.
The first Derby, Sydney Derby, was run 6 weeks before the first Melbourne Cup. 6 weeks before the first Melbourne Cup. This is a 162nd running, and it's one of the best. It is one of the best. This is a remarkable finish. Benno's got a Totsu, and Allegron might have him as well. Bang, crash, wallop, and a Totsu, this colt, yes, a colt, who could be thinking of other things. He's a big winner. He's a big winner. He's won 2 Derbies and a Guineas. He's on a streak that is quite remarkable. Katie, enough from me. I'm going down to Richo. Richo, I'm excited.
I'm with the man of the moment, Bruce. You should be excited because he's won 2 Derbies, he's won a Guineas. He is a proper horse, Kieran. Congratulations. What a training performance. Did you doubt that he could do that over 2,400?
No, I didn't really. No, I just thought he was better this prep than last prep. There was he was a stronger, all his data suggested that, he won a Guineas, and the unknown was a track, but I thought his quality would get him there. And about the 200, I thought maybe the quality's not going to be enough, but that's just it. He's all quality, the horse. And Johnny Allen, he's got a lot of faith in him, and you couldn't get a stronger rider than Johnny. I think he won last year's Derby by the skin of your teeth, and he's done it again here today. So fantastic, and got a lot of the Ballarat crew here today. My brother drove him up. It's just a really good effort. They really get behind him, and the owners, Ozzy and John and Kevin Payne, they've just had a fantastic run, and to win a Derby, 2 Derbies in one season, it's phenomenal. It is incredible, and he just showed how tough he was, because there was a collision 200 metres out and he was in for the fight. Yeah, he was. It probably just spurred him on a bit by the look, but no, fantastic horse, and the team have just done a super job, and it's great when a plan like that comes off. You guys know your horse so well. That is an incredible training performance, mate. Maybe the peak of your powers right there. Congratulations to you and everyone. Thanks very much. Brilliant stuff.
Wonderful stuff, Richard. And for Johnny Allen, the jockey, he's won 9 Group 1 Derbies in Australia, plus a couple of others. 11 Derbies. He joins Jim Pike on 9, who was the rider of Far Lap. Bobby Lewis, the great Bobby Lewis, has got the record with 18. But for Johnny Allen, the jumps jockey from Ireland, Caitlin, and here he is with an 11th Australian Derby, 9 of them at Group 1.
Yeah, incredible jockey, and as you said, he came over as a jumps jockey, he got his weight down, now he can ride light, and he's just showing how good he is. He's a ruthless jockey, he's quite strong, and he knows where he wants to be, and that's where he usually gets to. And as you said, derbies and staying races, he's just absolutely brilliant.
We're going to hear that Irish lilt after this up. We'll hear from Johnny Allen. Oh, big breath. TJ's not far off. Nature Strip, Eduardo, Shelby 66. Boy, oh boy, it's a championship race, that is for sure. The TJ Smith Stakes. There's Ed. We just had a look at Nature Strip, who's trying to go for 3, and there he is, the new bloke, the playboy. He's out and about again today.